Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation in this event. I think that today is an important event for EFAA. No, you see, today our event is about the e-invoicing, sharing best practices and experience. And in my opinion, in the opinion of our steering committee and our board of directors, this activity are activity that in the future we must do more activity in this line, no, in this way, because for us, for accountants, for auditors, for our members, for our practitioners, the digitalization is the challenge for the future. No, for that reason, inside or like activity in our EFAA Digital Working Group, we have prepared this important meeting with experience the different colleagues from Belgian experience, Benoit, Barban, and Jan Droppel, from German experience, Ivo Mosiski, from the Slovenian experience with Igor Storko. Thank you so much for our participation. Thank you so much for sharing with us our experience. It is a very good meeting because the speakers have high experience. They have very good practices in general, and they have a very high level in our profession. No, for that reason, thank you so much for sharing with us. You know very well, please, the next slide. You know very well that the EFAA is the big boy, no, for small and medium-sized practices in Europe. We are a very well-known organization in Europe for the European Commission, European Parliament. We are spending a lot of time with the European Commission, the European Parliament, and other stakeholders speaking or preparing documents or position statements about digitalization. As you can see, we have the digital competency and maturity model. In our COVID-19 resourcing center, you can see different documents about digitalization, our participation in the FRAD, the new EPO, and early warning. As I told you, it is the future. No, it is our challenge. For the reason it's important to apply resources in this line. I am very happy with this meeting. Thank you so much for our participation. Thank you so much the different speakers, and thank you so much Martin de Bie, like chair of EFAA Digital Working Group, to share this event. Martin, please.
Yeah. Okay. Next. First of all, thank you all that you all attending this important topic, e-invoicing, and I'm very happy what also Salvador mentioned, that we have some experience, because we have to share the knowledge in Europe, because every country is different. That's what I learned from the past attending as a chair of the Digital Working Group. But on the other hand, we can learn a lot how accountants, software supplier, and governments work together, because we are there for the entrepreneurs in Europe. And we know we need to step up with technology and which kind of tools we can help ourselves and also help the entrepreneurs. But one of the things is, and that's also one of the, we have to be clear, what is e-invoicing? For some people, and I talked last to a person who said, yeah, invoicing, that is, I'm sending already digital invoices. Yes, that is PDF. And e-invoicing is electronic invoicing. And that's also one of the difficulties we see with entrepreneurs, that they don't see the difference between a digital invoice, sending an invoice from their system by email and PDF, or if we say, yeah, you can send an electronic invoice by PEPL. And then the next difficulty, that sometimes the quality, the knowledge is not there by the accounting firm or even maybe the software supplier is not supporting it. So therefore, it's very interesting that within these three next sessions, several stakeholders from various countries can show us how they tackled this challenge. One of the things is of using invoicing is cost reduction. We call the magic word in accountancy sustainability, because cost reduction is also lower the burden on administration, and also less. Let's say if you send a lot of PDFs, it will be copied, and there's a lot of electronic, and that's technical, but there's a lot of capacity on hard drives used in the cloud. Faster payments. We refer to projects early warning, what Salvador mentioned, especially now at this moment with the people and companies that have it very bad during this pandemic. Faster payments is needed. Accounts payable, accounts receivable is, let's say, if not done by invoicing, but done on the traditional way, it's not very clear the insights of the position from the company, but also from the accountant who make the advice. So with invoicing, and that will be shown, it will be real time already in the systems. Business to government, that is very going well, I think, in Europe. There's a lot of governments are pushing their suppliers to use e-invoicing, but to business, it's still, let's say, a challenge in certain countries. And also facilitating cross-border trade, which is also very interesting, because even on the VAT, to modernize VAT, and especially VAT over the countries in European, this can help also our profession to lower, let's say, the fraud by using e-invoicing. And I think that's also to investigate. Next slide, please. There's a lot. You see on the below side, you see an URL from the European Commission, which you can visit, and you find a lot of important information per country, but also about e-invoicing. And I think especially for the attendees, the members of EFAA, it's good to follow this site and see what for information is there about their country, but maybe for other countries, and we can learn a lot from it. And one of the things we see that, what I mentioned already, cost saving, I think this line of the bullets, I think is for the most people who are interested in invoicing, very familiar. But let's say that's from our position, but if you go to a client, and that's important to know, a client is saying, okay, how do I do that? For him, it's really, his business card is invoice, and how is it, and how do I arrange the e-invoicing? What's the impact? So for us, it's clear the bullets, but for let's say for the real user, the end user, the client, you have to. This is not what you can go to him. You have to explain him much more about how it's working in his system. What are the benefits from his side, and that's perhaps we can also learn from the other members who are after showing their the best practices. Next slide, please. What I mentioned already is also on the website. You can find per country a lot of information. For me, it's also important because it's already it's been updated every time. But here you can find information about, okay, if a client asks, I want to send an invoice to Germany, and you can find some more information if you are interested. So make use of this this URL. Next slide, please. Closing, and that's also because I want to leave a lot of time to the presenters, is the role of the accountant in invoicing. I'm still, let's say, every meeting I'm going back to a digital event we had on the 21st of June 2018, where at that time SME United mentioned a very important conclusion. There were two bullets: be a digitalized SMP to help the SME perform better. So if you are, let's say, promoting e-invoicing, use e-invoicing yourself. And let's say, even for my organization, I'm working with, I'm also now pushing more and more to use as an organization ourselves e-invoicing, and not, let's say, promote e-invoice to our customers if you don't use it ourselves. So learn from yourself first, and then make the step to, let's say, your client, and try to find out what benefit e-invoicing. And that can be done, and that's what I learned. That's one of the lessons we learned. It can be one client of the client which use e-invoicing. That's enough to make him show what the advantages are. You don't have to say all your clients need to send invoices to all your clients, because then you have a very difficult way to introduce them also the e-invoicing. But if you have one client of the clients also using e-invoicing, you really, let's say, have their interest, and you can also show what the opportunities are. But first, for me, very important, if you are, let's say, as accounting firm promoting e-invoicing, use e-invoicing yourselves, because then you know exactly what you're, let's say, selling and what the advantages are. So next, I want to let's say give the floor to the Belgian delegation. That's Bart van Kooijlen, Benoit van Stichelen, and Jan Druppel. How they in Belgium solve, let's say, the invoicing and how they involved, and that's also interesting for us as Dutch, as the neighbors, how the Belgian accounting organization has tried to promote to members to use e-invoicing with the supplier. So I leave the floor open to my neighbors.
Yes, thank you, Martin. Thank you very much. And thank you, President, and a very good afternoon to you all. As President of ITAA, I'm honored and very grateful that we can and may give a brief explanation of our project called Unified by Invoicing, and also sometimes called Build to Box, here together today. After all, it is a project, as I called it, a project to unite accountants in Belgium and all their clients around sending, receiving, and paying the invoice. We would like to realize this also tomorrow together with you, together in Europe. Each country and all its accounts organizations, and on its own, together, every country on its own, and then linked to each other. And so together show as a strong accountancy profession to the outside world, at the service of business, governments, and education entrepreneurs, how we can work together. In itself, it's very simple. In the past, the invoice was the document that was delivered to the accountant as the basis for the accountant's work. Now that the document is becoming digital, suddenly everybody is and everyone is interested in the invoice and its payment. Whether it's about Apple, Google, or the banks, and etc. The entrepreneurs and the accountants may go looking for the invoice. Sometimes they are looking at on paper. Sometimes they need to look it to search on a platform, and sometimes they receive it digitally. The invoice must therefore remain in the hands of the accountants, and we can very easily achieve this together. Just as we centralize letters in a mailbox today, we can centralize invoice in a sort of an invoice box. If we give this application to every accountant free of charge, and the accountant also gets free of charge access to all the invoice of his clients with their consent, of course, then the account has nothing but advantages. The client only pays for himself at a very acceptable price, because the service that we give all together provides a great leverage, and the price can remain therefore competitively low. I'm sorry. The entrepreneur, no matter how small, benefits greatly from this. No more searching, downloading, or organizing invoices. Every entrepreneur wins, but above all, the accountant shows his important and economic role, and the accountant stays in the flow of the invoice. Together, we can make this happen. In Belgium, over a period of 2-3 years, we have started with this project, and we have succeeded in bringing 10% of the companies onto the platform. If you look to the total of all the entrepreneurs, including the self-employed, we are now at 5%. There is no platform or application in Belgium that has this many companies together, and the growth has just only begun. And it's for the profession 5 to 12 today to make this happen in Europe too. And every European accounting organization today can ensure that we remain strong as an accountancy profession in the future. That is why we are pleased and happy and to be able to introduce this platform also to you, to perhaps start with it in your country with your profession organization, accountancy professional organization in your country. In order to give certainty to everybody, to everyone, every accountant and every entrepreneur, we did not develop this by ourselves, but drew up a strong contract with a fintech player that did not want to compete with the current accounting software packages, but which can link up to all existing accounting software packages, so that no competition was disturbed. The application, therefore, only focuses on sending, receiving, and paying the invoice. The accountant in the middle of the flow of that. If I would like to let the developer speak for himself in order to explain the platform to you, allow me first, for this explication, first to thank our honorary chairman, Benoit van der Stichelen, who is also present here with us, for his many years of commitment to make this principle, being the accountant in the center of the invoice flow a European reality. Jan, please have the floor to explain our project, Unified by Invoicing, Build to Box. Thank you, Jan.
Okay, thank you very much, Bart. Thank you for the introduction. So, hello everybody. I'm Jan Druppel. I'm the International Business Development Director of the Unified Post Group. I've got some slides prepared for you, so I suggest we go to a couple of slides first, and then we can go into the solution itself. So first of all, the platform is made for the SME market. So this is a very important element. It's the platform is to be used by an SME company, a very small company, the micro companies, the self-employed people. So it's really meant for them. Of course, we can go up into the mid-market. It's not meant for corporate structures. Let me be clear. We have other tools for that also at Unified Post. But this product is really made for the SME market. Now, as we know, and as Martin explained also, you have a administrative and financial processes are very tedious, are costly, are time consuming, and you have the intake and the processing, you have the approval flow, the payment, reconciliation, cash forecasting, etc., etc. On average, what we see is that an SME company, of course, depending on the size, spends between 18 to 34 hours per month doing these administration and financial processes, which is a lot of time. So we created something. I use the name Bankup because in other countries we will launch it as the Bankup platform, but it's of course the same platform which is called Build to Box in Belgium. What we wanted to do was to build a collaborative platform. So a platform to be used by the SME where he interacts with his customers, his suppliers, where he manages his invoices, he receives invoices, sends invoices, he gets paid and he pays invoices, he archives his invoices, and he has contact with all of these people around him, all these economic contacts that he's in touch with. This includes banking industry. This includes, of course, the accountant, and the accountant is crucial. He's in the center of all these flows, but he's also in contact with business communities. He's of course directly linked to the PEPL directory in all of the countries. And the advantage is that, like Martin said in the beginning, you start with one customer to start developing electronic invoicing, and then you add others. This is all part of our platform, as we are an omni-channel platform, and this is a very important element. We don't only limit ourselves to the electronic invoices, but as we all know, and it's the reality of the market, everybody is moving slowly towards this electronic invoicing. But still today, there's a lot of paper, there's a lot of PDF. Some customers are moving towards electronic invoicing, others are not. So you need an omni-channel platform. And an omni-channel platform means that we include also the paper invoices. We include by scanning, we include and transferring to PDF. We OCR the PDF on the platform, even with manual validation, etc. So we create a single environment where your customer, the customer of the accounting firm and the accounting firm itself, of course, should they want to, they can use this to connect to banks, to connect to accountants, to connect to business communities, etc. Basically, this is what BankUp or Build-to-Box, as we know it in Belgium, what it does. So it assembles, or it gathers all the incoming invoices. It can send all of the outgoing invoices. Of course, we consider all of the different formats in the European Union. So we know that a French company, to be able to process their invoices into their accounting software, they are expecting a format which is called Facturix. In Belgium, we use UBL. In the Netherlands, we use UBL. In other countries, it may be other formats. In Germany, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Zoekvaart or the X-Rechnung. So we have all of these different formats that are included on our platform. And this is a really important part, because you want to be able to work cross borders. You want to be able to have an invoice as a Belgian company that you can send to a French company or a German company or a Spanish company or whatever, Romanian company, whatever the format may be. You need to be able to send your invoice in your format, so it can be linked to your accounting software. But you want, of course, the receiving party also to be able to treat this electronic invoice automatically. And this is exactly what we do. Another important part is that your company is automatically linked to your external accounting firm. And what does that mean? It means that when you receive an invoice on the platform, you have this approval flow. You can set it up. There are multiple layers that are possible. It can be really simple, just one person, or it can be more complex workflows where you have additional people that need to validate an invoice. But as soon as you validate the invoice, it is automatically transferred in the correct format to your accounting firm. So as soon as I accept my invoice that I received from my supplier, my accountant has it. It's a very important part. Exactly the same for the sales invoices, where once you send the invoice, it's automatically transferred to your accounting firm. Now, the BankUp or Build-to-Box is not only invoices, it's a lot more. So you have a mobile app that you can use for your expense notes or even invoices, other documents. We will automatically digitalize your invoices. We have integrated payments. So Unified Post is also a payment institution, so we can really use the full force of PSD2 payments, which are now becoming available all over Europe. We have a doc center on the platform that you can use to exchange other documents than expense notes and invoices with your accountant. So let's say governmental documents that you receive that you need to transfer to your accountant, or it can be leasing contracts or insurance contracts that you need to transfer. So we have all of these elements, and beside all of this, we also have what we call value-added services. And these value-added services are, of course, they're not an obligation. The customer can use whatever service he likes, but he has, for example, payment reminders that he can activate. And he even has access to financing solutions for his sales invoices that can be financed. He has the possibility to print and post. So let's say that you want to send your invoices, but you're already in a digital process, but some of your customers might still ask you to give them a paper invoice. Now, instead of you having to print them yourself as a customer, you can ask Unified Post to do this for you and to send it for you. Of course, very important, we are always connected to the PEPAL directory, and we are also connected to other platforms. And most of all, we are interconnecting all of the countries together. So Belgian companies, French companies, countries in the Netherlands, they will automatically be connected, and I will show you how this works later on. What the idea is behind BankUp or Build-to-Box is that we have a single platform that has three basic components. We have documents, which are invoices and other documents. We have identity, which is a very important part of the solution. It's proving that you have, as a person, a physical person, access to the invoices and the services of your company. And we include payments. Now, if you have those three components, so the documents, the identity solution, and the payments, you can open up to a very much broader service level. You can add financial services, so like debt management, dunning applications, credit insurance, e-registered letters. We are developing in Belgium, we are planning the release of the electronic registered letter, so you don't have to do them by post anymore. You have e-commerce integration. You have a lot of financial apps. We are even today, as we made the acquisition of a company in Germany, Crossings, who is very active in everything to do with order management, so not only invoices but also order management. We are starting to include the order management process because it can be very interesting for some companies, not for all of them. So it's a module that you can choose to use, not an obligation, but you can even integrate your order process. Now, this is where we are today. So Unified Post is currently in active with own presences in all of these countries. We have the platform available in Belgium under the branding Build to Box. We already have it available in France, where it's called Je Facture. So the French Institute of Accountants have adopted exactly the same technology, but they chose to brand it differently. We already have it available today in the Netherlands, and we are releasing the platform in all of the countries that are listed on the screen. Just an example, next month we are planning the release in Romania. I thought I saw some Romanian names in the call. So we are releasing the platform also in Romania, a country where we have a big development center, by the way. So this is the general presentation. Now let me just show you, I know the time is limited, so I will do it very quickly. Basically, there are three parts in the solution. First of all, there's the part that is for the accounting firm. And there is the second is the part for the customer of the accounting firm. And then we have what we call a shared drive, where the accountant can pick up all of the documents of all of his customers, of course, in a structured way. Now let's just log on to the platform. So I log on, I have my identity, which is already been validated, of course. So I sign in as an accountant. So I'm now in my accounting role. And you will see that I have the possibility that I can see all of my customers, and I already have a lot of information. Of course, I can upload all of my customers using a comma separated value file, etc., pretty basic stuff. But I can already see which of my customers have activated my platform. So here we have one that hasn't activated his company. We've invited him. So there is an onboarding process, and the onboarding process is managed by the accounting firm. So in some countries, we also allow companies to go directly on the platform. So they create their own user. But the standard is that the accountant does this. He has a full list of his customers, he uploads this list, and he can start inviting his customers. Once they accept, you can see that it's activated. And once they have activated it, you have a lot of potential paths that you can use. So first of all, for example, you can access directly the backup or the Build to Box account of your customer, which makes it very interesting. You see here that you have unsent documents. These are documents that are stuck somewhere, or haven't yet been treated by your customer. So it can be a purchase invoice that he still needs to validate, or it can be a sales invoice that he still has to send. But this is important information when you have, for example, a VAT closing period, and you see that your customer still has open documents that he still needs to handle. So all of this information is available to the accounting firm. Of course, you can attach some customers to some of your staff, and so it's only billable for one of your staff members, etc. It's pretty basic stuff. Now, what's really important also is that all of these documents, so all of these invoices, expense notes, other documents are always available to you as an accountant. And let me just show you, this is actually the third part of our solution. We can log on to an environment where I can see for my customer, who has a VAT number, of course, I can see all of his documents, his account payables, receivables, and shared documents. Now, if I go to the account receivables, for example, I have a list.
Dat was een leuk gesprek, moet ik zeggen. Dat vond ze ook wel leuk. Dus een beetje opbloeien.
Yeah.
I have a list here of all invoices that my customer has sent to his customers. And if I click on it, of course, you can automate this process, so they go directly to your accounting software. There are a lot of possibilities. But if I open this, I have what we call in Belgium a UBL. So it's an XML format that is not readable to the human eye. Of course, it's not easy to read. But on the other hand, your accounting software, I'm sorry, can easily read all of the contents. Now, I'm just going to remind you that we have an invoice here of 150 euros, not including VAT, 181.50 including VAT. You have the tax amount of 31.50, etc. Just to show you that this is what we call an electronic invoice in UBL format. Okay, now I will show you later how this works. So you have all of these documents, all of the account receivables. You of course have also the other documents, the shared documents that my enterprise has forwarded to his accountant. So I have, for example, here a PDF document that my customer has forwarded to me as an accountant. And for example, it's not an invoice, it's another document. The important part is that every document that is handled by your customer that he wants to share with his accounting firm are automatically all on the same platform. Now, if we go back to the solution, so you have this environment that you can use to pick up all of these invoices, and you have, of course, the Build-to-Box interface. Now, the Build-to-Box interface is the customer that is going to use it. I'm going to switch this to English. So you can see that there are already a lot of other languages available. This is the Romanian interface, German interface, we have French, we have Spanish, Italian, etc., etc. So I'm going to use the English one. I'm just going to connect to my company, and this is my company. So here I'm in the, I'll just switch it to English, make it a little bit more easy for you to see. So I'm going to put my interface in English, and this is my list. This is actually my startup screen. So when I started my Build-to-Box, or this is still called Build-to-Box, I see that I have 8 invoices, account payables, for a total amount of 14,000 euros that are overdue. I have 2 of them, 2 invoices that are overdue in less than 30 days. And this way I have the same thing for my sales invoices. Now, just checking, if I want to see a list of these invoices, I can click on it and I have a list of these invoices. Now you can upload invoices in PDF or electronic format, of course. You can take a picture of a paper invoice, you can upload it, you can connect to APIs, you have a lot of possibilities. I'm just going to show you one document. I think just the document that I showed you later, but I will show you in a couple of minutes of time. So here I have all of my invoices. So I'm going to take away the filter, and I not only have the overdue, but I also have all of my other invoices. Now, just as an example here, I have an overdue invoice. As you can see, or will be able to see, it's an invoice that is originally a PDF invoice, so it's not an electronic invoice, it's a PDF document for a total amount. This has been translated into digital, so it's been electronic, it's now an electronic document, but of course we keep the original document. Now, very interesting is that we have an audit trail of everything that has happened with this document. So the document was uploaded by one of my staff on the 14th of January at 10:26. We have automatic OCR, as it was originally a PDF document. The supplier was matched using the VAT number that we found on the document. It's been handled by OCR. There's been no update of data. The document was accepted by me a couple of months later. This is what you get when you have demo environments, of course. So we haven't archived it actually, because the system found that we already have this invoice in our archive with the same number. So you have what we call double number detection, which is available on the platform. So it's been digitally signed and it's automatically forwarded to our accountant. So everything that happens on an invoice is automatically done. If we just look in the archive, I have an archive of all my documents, so inbound archive, outbound archive, and I already have also the possibility, same audit trail for all my sales invoices, where I also have all of this information. You see that the platform is relatively slow. It's a demo environment, so it's not really a production environment, and it's a bit slower, but it doesn't really matter. You have all of these possibilities on your accounts receivables, in your archives, etc., etc. If you look at the sales invoices, for example, you will see that we also have, it's very slow, so I might have some issues with the internet connection as well. I'm very sorry about this. So you have all of these information that is available on all of your invoices to manage your invoices, to manage your sales and purchase invoices with workflow, etc., etc. What we also have is we have the integration, we have the integration of payments. So what you can actually do with your payments is you can link your bank accounts, or you can choose to use the bank account, the IBAN account that is provided by Unified Post. As you know, we are a payment institute, so we can add money, we can connect to our other bank accounts. We have a view on the money that is available in my existing bank account, etc., etc. So everything is being managed from one single platform. Of course, very important is that as you're using this platform for your documents, your invoices, and your payments, you have what we call instant reconciliation. It's the matching between documents and payments. And all of this data is, of course, automatically transferred to my accounting firm. So this is also a very important part of our solution, the integration of payments, the instant reconciliation, and the automatic transfer to the accounting firm. As Bart said in the beginning, this was the setup, the original idea, is that we make all of this information available to the accountant free of charge, so the accountant never pays to get all of this information, invoice, expense notes, financial transactions, etc. We make it available to the accounting firm, and it's always free of charge. This is the whole setup and philosophy behind our platform. Now, maybe two more things I'll show you, and then I guess the time is up. Really important is that you have these signs, and this sign indicates that some of my customers and some of my suppliers already member of the network, and this makes it very interesting, because if my customer or my supplier is already a member of the network, we no longer have to wonder how we must make the invoice available to them. It's done automatically, and it's done automatically on the platform, because we know that our customer or our supplier is also part of the network. Of course, if we have a customer that is on the PEPL network, or a supplier that is on the PEPL network, we are going to give priority to the PEPL network. And you even have the possibility as a customer to say, listen, I'm part of this network because I use it to exchange with my accounting firm, and I have a PEPL account, but I would still prefer to receive my invoices in my original mailbox. This is also possible. So the user can basically choose how he wants to use the platform. And this is very important. You have to give as much liberty to your customers as possible. It mustn't be too, that's one of the problems of electronic invoicing, that it's really very strict, and it has to be like this. And if you're on PEPL, you have to send to PEPL. We give a lot more flexibility to your customer using this system. Now, maybe one more thing. This is the doc center. It's like I explained. It's for other documents. I always have a view on which documents I shared with my accountant. We even have the possibility in my documents to integrate digital signing, electronic signing of documents. So imagine I have a contract or an order form that I want my customer to sign before it becomes official. Well, I can send it, I can use it, I can upload the document and ask my customer to sign the document. And this is all available using the apps. So in the apps, it's what we call the value-added services. I have a range of apps that I, as a user, can choose. Of course, the accounting app, which is available to everybody, and the accounting app makes the connection to your external accounting firm. But we also have other options. We have debtor management, payment services, you have the unified post electronic signing, you have the bank statement service, you have an order to cash solution. So you have a lot of, and these are just some examples that we put on the demo environment, but you have a lot of other services that you can use, so that the platform really is the platform that fits with your customer. Some customers may use orders, others may not. So it has to be flexible. It has to be flexible for your customer. Now, just one final one for the subscriptions, and this is what we will make available also in the countries, is that we have a free subscription. You have the possibility to offer your customers as an accountant. It's only available through the accounting firms. You have the possibility to test the environment. So you can ask a couple of customers, okay, let's start using this, and they use it free of charge. So they have the possibility to send invoices, connect to their accountant, receive invoices, etc. Test the full process free of use. So it's for 50 documents that you can test, and then your customer has to choose. Now, if we have an agreement with an institute of accountants in a certain country, we even have additional offers that we're making. So we can use reductions. We can give a certain reduction to the accounting firm, or we can do it with the institute. It all depends on the agreement that we reach. So I don't know. I hope I've stayed in the time limit, just to give you an original idea. Okay, terrific. So thank you very much for this possibility to show you the platform. And again, I'm available for Q&A after the presentations.
Well, thank you very much, Bart and Jan, for explaining for this how the accountant is really, let's say, onboarding the digitalization through your platform and also collaborating with the customers. I think we as Dutch can learn from this, so that's good. So probably we have a call, Jan, and also Bart, about your experience, because yes, what I mentioned, share the knowledge is important, because we can learn from each other. And I think this was a good presentation. What is possible when using the digitalization with e-invoicing. So thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Thank you. Then we have, when we get from Belgium, we go to Germany, because we have Ivo Mozinski. I hope I speak it very well. But from DATEV, and DATEV is, let's say, very big player in Germany, who is also leading in digitalization in Germany. So I was there once by invitation, and I was really surprised what they all were doing to help their customers, accountants, but also entrepreneurs on digitalization. So thank you, Ivo, for that you have the time to explain how the German experience is on e-invoicing. So for you, the floor. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. Just want to share my presentation. Just a second. So hopefully you will now see my presentation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. Perfect.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. I just want to give you an overview of what has happened in Germany. So I have different hats on my head. So yes, I'm an e-invoicing expert working for DATEV, but I'm also the chair of the German Forum for Electronic Invoicing. And I'm a member of the board from the German Provider Association. And for you, maybe a few words about we call it FIRD, that's the German Forum. So that is in a forum, and we have different members that are not only companies, that are also, and that is important for the discussion and discussion partners we have in Germany. These are the federal and the state ministries, then the federal chancellery, and we have the leading associations of the economy and trade association on board. And we are the central contact point for all the market players regarding a question around e-invoicing and the financial supply chain. And that's a chance for addressing strategic issues for all these topics. And then we want to try to consolidate all the international and national corporations regarding e-invoicing. And yes, I'm the head, and I'm doing it together with Dr. Ulrike Wieland, which is from a big trade association in Germany. And we just organized our work in 4 different, we call it the competence center. So then we have the competence center for marketing and communication. That's the reason why, that's a need, because in all the discussions we had in the past, the communication part is one of the big challenges if you are making projects with e-invoicing. And on the other side, we have the business processes and compliance competence center. And we have the standards and format and integration. And as we spoke about that a few minutes ago, so we are developing standards as well. So if you know, that's Zugpferd. That's a German standard which we are developing together with our French colleagues. And that's it. The new thing is that we, together with our French colleagues, we make a new standard. We call it Order X. That's it's a standard for e-procurement. And then we have a competence center, a special competence center as an interface between business and the administration, especially if we are talking about the implementation of the EU directive. So we have a lot of problems, but that are points that are coming later on it again. So when we are speaking about e-invoicing in Germany, what does it mean? And maybe it helps if you get a feeling. So we have a lot of small and medium companies in Germany, and it's sorry when the slide is in German, but if you see, we have 3.1 million companies, which only had up to 10 employees, and it's a lot of small and medium companies. So, and the question is how to connect them and bring them to e-invoice. So if we are going to the bigger companies, they made projects in the past, and I think they are running very well. And if you know, so they're making a lot of EDI business and so on. But if you're looking to the smaller companies, then it's quite a difficult question. And overall, that's a slide from Bruno Koch from Bilentes in Switzerland. But overall, we have an e-invoicing quote around 25%. So there is still a lot of paper in the German market. And the question is how to increase the number of e-invoices. And if you see the 25% of code of e-invoices, so then you see on the top, from this 25%, there are a lot of standard PDFs, and that might be also a problem in the past. But if you are talking about e-invoices in Germany, then a lot of them, a lot of the small and medium companies are thinking e-invoice is a standard PDF, and with no data, it's unstructured, and it helps nobody to send standard PDFs. And then you have a lot of EDI business, and yeah, then it's increasing with the Zugpferd and Faktor X and X-Rechnung, X-Invoice. That's the new format from the public administration. And but it's overall, we have a lot of paper and we have a lot of standard PDFs. And that's so that is what I've told. So so 25%, that is, if you're looking to other countries around Germany, they have a much higher percentage regarding e-invoices. Then and it's very difficult in the past to have a standard definition of the term e-invoice. And that's what that is the reason why I told you the communication part is so important, because you have to tell all these market players what are the advantages of the electronic processes, e-invoices, digitization, and that might be the main challenge. And I think another point is that all the e-invoices depends on the digitization of the market participants and their processes. But when you, as an SME or as a public administration, if your internal processes are still paper-based, then you have no need to move to e-invoicing. And I think that is the point as where DATEV helps all the SMEs. And on the other side, the public administrations is still implementing the EU directive and make big projects to get their processes, internal processes, digitized. And that is I think, quite important. And as I told you, the EU directive, it could be, and in other countries it is, but in Germany it could be a market changer. But we have some specialties in Germany, and so as maybe if you know, we have the federal government. There's a federal structure in Germany, and we have the federal government, and then we have 16 federal states, and all of them. So we have 17 different implementations of the EU directive, and that means for typically supplier, if you have connections, business connections to different public authorities in different federal states, then you have to take a look at the different legislation, law and associated regulations. And there are also different technically platforms implemented in the market. So it is more complex than to send in the past, send paper. When if you send paper, you just put it in a letter and then you send it with the German post, and then it comes to your customer. But now you have to first take a look where is your customer based on? Is it a federal state, or is it based in a federal state, or is it on a federal level? And is there a central platform, or is there not a central platform? Is it accepting email or whatever? So it is not easy. And then we have two silos. So in Germany, that's called X-Rechnung and Zugpferd. And there we have many discussions with the public authorities, which are working on X-Rechnung, and we as a third, we are working on Zugpferd. But last year we bring that close together, So it doesn't matter what the customer is sending to the public authorities. So the public authorities should be accepting both of the SIOs. But in the beginning, that was just a problem because all the federal administrations are only accepted the X-Rechnung or not the Zugwirt. But that's a thing or that's a problem we've solved in different discussions. If you see the timeline, maybe I think it's a point that you know as well. So at the end of the April 2020, so last year, so all the public administrations in Germany are able to receive, when they have to accept e-invoices. So, and then we have an obligation for suppliers to send e-invoices, but it's only for suppliers from the federal level, not from the suppliers on the federal states, but on different, also it's the federal states. Some of them are also put an obligation in the laws, but they are coming later. And so we have so the timeline with obligations up to 2025 is that more and more federal states are going to an obligation, but we have no central date, and that is also quite difficult for the suppliers. So they have different customers in different federal states with different laws, different technical platforms, and different timelines, and that is not so easy. So it's a big challenge. And that's a point for us, for DATEV. And maybe if you know, so DATEV is a cooperative, as a service provider, and for tax advisors, auditors, and lawyers, and all of their clients and customers. And yeah, we are one of the largest software companies in Europe, and I think so for the last 50 years. And we have about 400,000 customers and 26 company locations. So we are organized mainly in Germany, but we are operating in different countries as well. And with 8,000 employees, and we have in turnaround 1.1 billion euros. So a big company with a huge community. I think 2.5 billion companies in Germany, 2.5 million companies in Germany are using DATEV software. And that's not only for e-invoicing. So we have, if you see, so we have a wide range of services. So consulting, training, IT security, that's only the consulting services. Then we have accounting software, personnel management software. We have software to support questions regarding taxes, ERP software. So that's a wide range. And but if you look on the e-invoicing solution, so today we have different software packages which customers can use to issue an invoice. So and these are different applications, and then that's you see it on the left side. And on the other side, we have a lot of customers which are not using a DATEV software to generate an invoice. They are using a special software, some small software products, big software products, have an ERP system, whatever. But we help all of them because on the other side, you have the customers, and these are business customers. And then I told you the problems regarding the EU directive in Germany. We have a lot of public authorities organized in different federal states. And what we say as DATEV is sending an e-invoice should be not more complex than sending a paper invoice. And that's the reason why we implement, we call it as a one-click solution. So that all the applications on the left side just have a button, send an invoice. And in the middle, we are organizing the completely process. So we are looking who's the business partner, on which channel he is, could be receiving invoices, in which format, Zugpferd, X-Rechnung, and in the business sector, like in SAP format, iDocs or whatever. So that's what we are doing, and we are doing it not for our own, because we are just organized in the, we call it a traffics network, and the traffics network is a big network to exchange the business documents, not only invoices, so business documents. And they are based on one technical platform. And this technical platform is used by, or is different service providers or companies, big software companies are using this same technology. And that has the advantage that all of the customers of these service providers are connected directly to each other. So if a Dativ customer wants to send an invoice to an Rico customer, you see it on the image on the right bottom, Rico, maybe you know Rico, then it's just also a one-click solution. So we are connecting all these companies together, and we just want to make it easy as possible to share business informations and to transfer business informations, not only across Germany, across Europe as well. And if you need some more information, have a look at traffics.net. I think that is quite an important point. As a summary, we are just in the beginning in Germany. We have a high number of SMEs, and a lot of them using Dativ software. And we are the digitization of the company process is still ongoing, and we as Dativ, we help together with our members, with the accountants and the lawyers. We help our customers to go forward and go to more to digitize their processes. And our goal is to connect all of them electronically. So we think it's not only important to digitize processes in a company, so we need some digital processes over the company borders to other companies as well. And that is quite our mission. And the next thing is there are some, if you know, take a look at Europe. So we see the discussion about the clearance systems, as we see it maybe in Italy. And that's another point which we have in the main focus. So what's happened if the clearance system is coming to Germany as well, and which impact has that for our companies and also for the public administration. And that is our, I think our second mission is to connect the public authorities, the administrations, together with the small and medium companies on the business level. And hopefully you get an idea what's happening in Germany. And if you have any questions, then I would be happy that you just tell me or just write me an email or whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ivo. It was very, very, very interesting. And also, let's say, if I look from, let's say, European perspective, one of the slides I showed that facilitating cross-border trade, it's benefit if the Netherlands more doing trade with Germany. It should be very good if we use e-invoicing, because then the invoicing go, and you showed already, it's going to various states and makes it better for, let's say, for the digital single market, if you look from European perspective. And also you mentioned the clearing from Italy, so how it's done there. And that's for us also important to see what happens if this kind of system is also introduced in other countries. What's the benefit? So we think it is also interesting to see, because that's the next step, if I can say so. I'm very happy to see that in Germany there's a lot of progress. You said 25%, but 25% of a big country.
Yeah, sure.
So and there's still, let's say, a lot of work on that, but it's good that DATEV is leading in this way, and yet you showed us how Germany is taking care of e-invoicing and what, let's say, their goals are, and especially from your role, which is also very important. Okay, that you're really connecting also the dots in Europe, because I think that's also important. What's happening? Are we on the same level? How can we help e-invoicing much quicker, introducing in countries and especially by SMEs?
Yeah.
Then we have the next speaker. That's Igor Zorko. He's also a member of the Digital Working Group, and I met him in. Let's say when I started as digital chair of the Digital Working Group, I met him in Slovenia, and he told me and showed me already from their efforts in e-invoicing, BizBox, and that they were really proud on being the first. And I forgot why you were the first in, because there's a lot of information, but there's a small country, if I may say so, but it's making big steps. So I'm happy. So we have the Belgian experience, the German experience, and I now give you the floor, Igor, to show how the Slovenian experience is on the e-invoicing. So thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Do you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, do you see my presentation?
No, not yet. You have to share your screen.
Yeah, I try to do it in just a moment.
Yes, you can see your screen, and yes, it's okay.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. A lot of things that we also have here in Slovenia and in the region, we hear from the colleagues from Belgium and from Germany. So I try not to do it twice. So I see we are moving to the same direction, but on different, how to say, we take different steps, or because we have different environments and different legislation and so on. So we did it in our way. Maybe I will go through a bit of history here in Slovenia just to see what we did and why we did something. So it's very important that we are first in Europe that we have the e-business regulation in Slovenia. So in 2001 in Slovenia, all the digital documents were verified and accepted by the government and all the institutions and also the legal system, the same way in digital and electronic and on paper. So this was a big step here in Slovenia, and also we decided to create some kind of group of different stakeholders, not just the government, how to push the digitalization also in business. And there was tax administration, accountants, banks, chambers, IT providers, retailers, the biggest retailers in Slovenia in telecoms. We established this group, and we say, what do we need to put in all this kind of electronic exchange and electronic automation of the processes between companies. And we established that the first was the invoice, because it's the easiest, but it's the last document in the supply chain, but it's the easiest document to implement, and all the companies in some region or in the country needs invoice. So we set the Slovenian ESLOC, we call it, National XML standard for invoicing. It's not just the 6ML, but we also standardize the envelope of the document, so we know where they're going, what it's carrying, this document. We set the identifiers, and we also set the technical messages, for example, delivery verification, or to not accept the message or something like that. And we also set some kind of standard how to automatic pay the invoice, because we know which kind of data or from who it's delivered, and we know who to pay and who is paying. So we did this homework in 2002, but it take a lot of time to implement all this stuff and to start using it in the right way. I heard also from German side that they have very similar problems that we have. So in these last 5-6 years, we slowly get all the regulations that we needed, also from VAT to archiving and so on. And also in 2012, we started to receive the European standards. And we say, okay, now we have a problem because this standard is going for public administration use. We have some kind of moves how to cover the procurement, public procurement, and how to use the documents and so on. We didn't like it because we said we need one standard for public administration and also from the business. And we established National Forum for Invoicing. Later, we also get in the EU Forum for Invoices. So I was also sometime the representative of that. But now I'm the member, so I'm not representing the forum right now. And we started to upgrade the standards. We started to ask the all kind of users what they need, what kind of documents they need. How do they use it? Do we need some kind of public register for accounts, for exchange documents? Do we need some kind of interfaces or integration of different networks like EDI networks, public networks, banks networks, retailers networks? Because we want not to be, if you are in one network, we don't want to have 5 accounts or 10 accounts to communicate with public administration for Italian partner, Croatian partner, or something like that. So we are thinking also about cross interoperability between different networks of exchange of documents and also the invoices. We created the new standard 1.6, which was upgraded and slightly going toward European standards. And also we get, in 2013, we got the regulation, which was implemented in 2015, of mandatory invoices for the public sector. In Slovenia, we sat together and we said, what kind of regulation should it be? And government listened to the forum. So we said, if we put it only for public, only for the government on the high level, then we'll have a problem, because every municipality or every ministry or every public institution like a school or a hospital would need different kind of channel to get an invoice, different kind of standard and so on. So very similar stuff that also we heard from other countries. And we decided that we need one public administration hub which should be open for all the providers that would like to connect to it. And also we decided not to support mail, because the mail is some kind of putting you off the path of automation in exchange of electronic documents and doing the process of getting the invoices paid, and also to have the interconnectivity between different partners. So we established the forum. We together set some kind of marketing plan or plan how we'll get to the end. And for example, different partners from this forum, we set more than 150 national events. For example, together Chamber of Commerce or Tax Administration or local municipality or maybe Ministry of Finance or some IT providers. We together set these events, and we did it in 2 to 3 months. And also we established together some kind of help desk to help all the users in Slovenia without any paying or something like that, to help the people and also the companies and the public administration to implement that. We also decided to how to say that the people who will pay the fee if they are not doing it electronically will be in public sector. So in Slovenia, the public servant pays 2,000 euros if he prints the invoice. So it was not something regulation that put some kind of fees to the business, but it goes on the side of public administration. So nobody should print any invoice. This penalty, not just a fee, this penalty was very, very, very good. And in 1 month, we got 100% of all invoices put in the public sector through safe channels, so not mail, but safe channels. We get about 50 different providers. Sorry, here, 50 different providers. We implemented four-cornered exchange model of different providers, so integrated all these exchange processes also in ERP systems. So it's automatically when you push send instead of print, he goes to the central location, look who is the receiver, take the envelope, push the invoice, and invoice is getting directly to the public hub, and then it's going to the application which some kind of local administration user is having on the local server. And all the application is going through some kind of certification, so we know they're working right. So we get for the public, we are a small country, or compact as we like to say, so we have about 400,000 invoices monthly for the public sector. We have about 35% of all the companies start using invoices in 2015 because they are some kind of connected to the public administration, and about 95% of all accountants have the software which has integrated invoices in their systems. That don't mean that they use it for all the customers, but they have the technical support to do it. So in Slovenia we have this one ESLOC standard. We have relatively good regulation for that, and we have very big promotion and education activities based on this Slovenian Forum for Invoices. We have three big providers which are also interconnected. So one is public sector, one is banks with their network, because they build their own network between all 27 banks in Slovenia. And the third is the company I'm coming from. This is BizBox, which is more focused on the B2B processes, not just the invoices, also transport and supply chain and so on. So we have a big, how to say, ecosystem, which we think is working right. So at the same time, this forum goes to a few safe projects of European supporting facilities, building facilities, sorry. So we have ROSE 1 project and ROSE 2 project. ROSE 1 projects was we did the adaptation to new invoice standards and guidelines of EU. And we implemented that and built some kind of open APIs and all the stuff that everybody in software industry can use. We also did the new type of documentation and cases and everything that we need because this standard was upgraded. Maybe just to say, in Slovenia, we don't have UBL, for example. We use EANCOM and EDIFACT as baseline for ESLOC 2.0. And that was because we did, how to say, we look at the market, and in Slovenia, about 90% of Slovenian companies mostly used EANCOM and EDIFACT standards before. So because of that, we didn't go to some new standards, but we used the old one. And upgraded it to the new version, and that did localization and adaptation to the EU demands. So we also, one part of the project was cross-border invoicing support, multi-language support, then exchange register, which is very important. So we have the national register of accounts of the companies for exchanging documents. So I will show it to you in a few minutes. It's relatively simple, but all providers have to put all their accounts in boxes. Has to be put in this register. So you can also call this register by the service, so everybody can check if somebody's having a digital inbox for invoices or other documents or not. So then we did also the implementation of people. And we did two hubs. One is public sector hub, which is on the Ministry of Finance, and one is national business hub, which is hosted by BizBox. So then after that, we did a new project that's ROSE 2. So we also implemented in ESLOC standard all the other documents. So order, delivery, order verification, delivery identification, all different documents that you need in supply chain, which shows very handy in the Corona crisis, because a lot of companies start using it because of e-commerce, Also, the new customs regulation and e-commerce regulation is coming, and these documents are very useful also in these processes, reporting and showing and verifying the process that we need also in the future. So this was ROSE 2 project presented in 2002. We also put every document and every activity that we have together in the Slovenian Forum for Invoices on National Center for All Invoices. This is a web page, www.epos.si, and some things are also in English. Here is also the register, and we did also every year we do the brochure, because the people should see where we are, what they're using, and how it's used. So some kind of added value for the common users. It will look what kind of shares of different kind of exchange of documents and mainly invoices are in Slovenia. We have about 8% of all the invoices in Slovenia, not for the physical persons, but in B2B and B2G part. We have about 8% is exchanged by the public administration, but public administration is mostly receiving, not sending these invoices. We have only a few % of invoices coming from the public administration. Then we have about 12% of invoices exchanged by through B2B hubs or safe exchange networks, as we call it. About 5% are all-time EDI, EDIFACT messages and networks. About 35% these invoices exchanged through mail, and about 40% are staying on paper. This paper is also, some of the paper we also stay in use, because there are some services and stuff that we have to put in the paper. So paper is staying in some parts. So, but we are coming through, and I think in a few years we will get a bit higher %. Maybe some accelerations that we see as very important. One is this forum cooperation with all stakeholders, because ICT companies and exchange providers listen to the problems of the users, of retailers, of small companies, of accountants, and this was very important, because we don't look at just on the technology and standards, but we also look on the implementation and the usage of this in the practice. We also did from the beginning, so from 2013, we did accountant software integration in the process of exchanging documents. So they have integrated now for, I don't know, 7, 8, 5 years, it depends which one. Also of signing, electronic exchange, preparing the document, automatic connectivity to verifying the document, verifying also the revisioning trails of exchange, automatic putting in tax reporting and similar. So this integration and also the collaboration on the business part with the accountants were very, very important. And we did a lot of also education together with the accountants chamber on the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Slovenia, and we have a good cooperation with them. Then we built this central exchange register, which I think it's very important. Maybe in the future it will get one part of the business national register. We'll see. We implemented it at the beginning 4-corner model. So we don't have, for example, application like you have to go to the web or you have to automatically register on one network, but you can use whatever service in whatever application, and you have roaming through different kind of networks independently, so you don't have to decide where you're going, what you're doing. So this simple and predictable regulation, which is in Slovenia something which is not very common, but this shows how the Ministry of Finance cooperated with all the stakeholders in the forum. This is very good. And I think what is very good, we have a good preparation. In Slovenia, we never missed any deadline. So, for example, we say 1st of October, we're going full on the new European invoices. We didn't think about to move the deadline. If somebody didn't prepare, we help them to have a second way around it or something like that. Or we provided free service or something like that. So we never moved the deadline. And I think that means also for the IT companies and all the others, we don't how to say, just shown around with the deadlines, but it has to be executed. So maybe future steps, what we are doing. Our main goal is automation, automation, automation. So that the digitalization and invoices and all the other electronic documents should go away from the handwork or the human tasks. Everything should be used in your own applications that you already used in the past. Everything should be automated as much as possible, and you have to look at the whole process, not just on the for example, invoice. You have to look also on the verification, on the how to say no, this is not the right invoice or something like that. You have to have the exchange of information about the products. You have to have the delivery, you have to have the order and so on. So, and also you have to have the drop shipping, for example, now, because we have the electronic business and shops and so on. This is one thing. The other thing is, before we have also these payment integrations, but all was managed by one bank, because the bank was offering the invoice or has the partner, and you have to have your account on one bank. Now we are trying to open that through PSD2 and also our some kind of proposals to open it, so you don't you're not have to be on one bank. So you should be on whatever bank in whatever country of Europe. So because the Slovenia is very export oriented, and most of our companies have just the main office here in Slovenia, but all the others are in some other countries, not in Slovenia. So this is very important also. We also trying to put in SMEs, and we are trying to build the accountants as a service providers. So they should be the sales front runners for digitalization of small and medium companies. The biggest problem here in Slovenia is that the government is not understanding that, and they are not taking into consideration as much as possible. But we are trying to persuade them that now in post-corona crisis, this should be one way to go. So we are also getting mandatory invoicing in a few years, maybe in 2023, very similar to Italy. When you look at the regulation, so you should have fiscalization and exchange of documents, but different. We persuaded our government not to have the public agency for that. So this providing of these services will be on the providers of digital services and solutions. So, but we have to be verified and certified and so on. So we will go very similar as EIDAS regulation is going on the services for EID or similar stuff. So I think this is a good case also for other countries, not to build everything from the scratch and not to depend only on the government services in the future. So one thing is also very important here in Slovenia. Most of IT providers in Slovenia are also one of the major IT providers in the region, so ex-EU countries. And we are trying also to push this kind of standard, which are one standard for business and for government in this region of Balkan region. So we are trying to persuade Montenegro, Bosnia, Serbia, and all the other countries here to have some kind of hybrid standard, which will support in such a small countries as we are here, many different processes, and at the same time many different kind of industries and channels. So you don't demand on many providers, so many complicalities in that. May just see, so we are trying to get from everything is connected to digital ecosystem, and we are trying to use data to optimize these kind of processes. And one thing that we are also doing here is that this data should be owned by the users, not by the platforms. And at the same time, the user can share the data and use some kind of artificial intelligence services to optimize the processes, not just exchanging documents, but also how to do the better business, how to use better partners, how to choose better products. So this kind of stuff is here very important, because we have to also for IT community, because we have such small market that we have to push all the added value services as quick as possible, so we get some income also on the digital side. So this is also very important for IT companies. So I think this you know, so we are going from such structured to no structured system, but this is, I think, not so important. Maybe a few words about BizBox. We offer very similar services, as you mentioned, from Belgium, for Belgians and for Germans. We have now a tradition of 10 years offering this kind of services. Most of our users are not using user interfaces. We have mobile app, we have web and so on, but most of the users are using our services through ERP or accountant systems. So we know if somebody is accountant or somebody is company, or somebody is doing the selling or somebody is doing the procurement in the company. So we push these kind of services in the ERP system. So don't have 5, 6, 7 different kind of apps or applications of app user interfaces, but have one and try to integrate everything and try to be independent of the channel. So if you push in through BizBox, you can get out in PayPal or bank system or Germany or Slovenia or Italy or Croatia. And also we did the automatic transformation of the message. And we at the same time offer the Audit Trail by the EIDA specification. So because in Slovenia this is very important because nobody trusts nobody. So we have to do also this homework every year. I will just show you the web part just a moment to change the sorry, here like that. Just see this. Okay, first just okay. Do you see? This is the National Register for Electronic Exchange. For example, I write in the kindergarten. It's only in English if we want to. For example, kindergartens, they are mostly on the public network. Just a moment. Internet problems.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, here's the kindergarten. For example, we all together keep some information in this register from all the providers, from the public sector, from the banks and so on. So you see, you know which entity it is. We use the tax number, we use the VAT, we use the bank account number. And at the same time, we, for example, for public information, we have some kind of internal IDs for this company. This is the internal number for getting the money from the budget number, something like that. So, and we also track what document they are trying to receive. Why I mentioned that? Because in Slovenia, it shows that we as a company or as an organization, we receive different documents that we send. And we have to know what kind of document their ERP system knows how to read automatically without any transformation and anything. So we are trying to have this kind of register, not just for knowing in which account you should send, but at the same time that you know what kind of invoice or structure he can read and what kind of documents on which locations are going. For example, now I will write it ZZI, this is our company. And for example, we have now different providers. This is ZZI's provider, not the UEPA. UEPA is public how to say it, agency for payments of public sector in Slovenia. They're taking over this hub and accounts. So you see this also, all this stuff which is here on the web, it's also accessible through web services, and it's automatically how to say, upgraded, managed, and all the information are coming through web services. So different providers of these channels are exchanging documents through the register about their users and their accounts or their inboxes here in Slovenia. For example, if you look at our service, For example, today we have about 880,000 transactions of exchange just today. So these are happening live very quickly. But it's important that all the transactions are not going just BizBox to BizBox, but there are also the transactions which are going to banks or from banks or so on. So we are trying to also have as much automatic onboarding of different kind of customers between different networks. So if somebody is opening the account in banks, he can automatically be connected to BizBox users. So this kind of stuff, maybe a bit additional information from the stuff that also colleagues from Germany and Belgium said. Maybe some questions, or do you think that it was interesting? I really don't listen to myself very often.
Well, it was, let's say it was, thank you, Igor. It was very interesting. Yeah, we have a questionnaire very soon. So, but thank you. And it was very interesting to see the differences and how also the roadmap from starting in Slovenia till up to now, and that you have already a 2.0 on a certain project. And if you mention to certain countries, even in our country, in the Netherlands, you see the differences between, let's say, the Belgium step, the German step, what Slovenia is doing, what you mentioned also, what Italy is doing. And one of the surprising thing is, and that was you mentioned it already before, when it was in Slovenia, is the penalty. So that will, let's say, if I think we've introduced it in the Netherlands, let's say you get a penalty as a government institute if you send a non-e-invoice. I think there will be a lot of discussion. But let's say, I think the opportunities, and I think for everyone who's attending, if you can see what the digital is not a PDF, digital is electronical, and what you see is that from the Belgian, from the German, and also from the Slovenian experience is that there is more possible. There's more opportunities to, and we are all of data, so there's a lot done possible with data. Another thing we have to discuss is also, okay, what do we do with data? How it's going to be safe? It's going to be stay in Europe. But there's a lot of opportunities using e-invoicing. If it's for us, it's for government, it's for, let's say, the user, and especially what Igor mentioned, and also what Jan was mentioning, was that the owner is the SME, the entrepreneur, who he's sharing the data, and the accountant is the servicing. And I'm happy to see that we can share this information. So we have now for 10 minutes or more than 10 minutes, we have the floor open for questions for attendees. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and or write a question in the chat box, and we will present it to the presenters from Belgium, Germany, or Slovenia. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And hopefully you're not scared to ask any questions. Paul, do you have a question? Igor, your question, please.
Sorry, can I ask maybe the colleagues from Germany and Belgium how they are doing this interconnectivity without of different platforms and of different stakeholders in the country? Is there how they are satisfied also with this kind of cooperation?
Yeah, maybe I can just, of course, the interconnectivity we have is we integrate, of course, all different kind of platforms. So the interconnectivity between the countries is pretty much in our system, is built in our system. We have we connect to multiple platforms. The difference with what I saw from what you presented, Igor, is that we do allow email. So we allow email because some of our customers customers. So some of our users' customers are already on platforms or can be on PEPL or can be on anything else. But a lot of them still aren't. So that's the reason why we also integrated email in our solution. So that for us it was really important, and it was a kind of a request from the people from the institute, the Accountancy Institute in Belgium. It was a prerequisite that the system or the platform that we built should be omni-channel. So because we all talk about electronic invoicing, but I still see a lot of countries. I see in some countries it's becoming an obligation in 5 years, 6 years. I think in some countries it's not even on the radar yet. So before we all have an obligation in B2B to exchange invoices in an electronic way, what we wanted to create was a single platform where all invoices are integrated. So not only the electronic ones, but we of course connect to all of these different platforms in all of the countries where we have our activities.
Yep, maybe a few more words for Germany. I think the German government is just pushing the PEPL access. So all the public platforms which are still in developing or just developed have an access to PEPL. And so we as a private company are supporting PEPL as well. And as I told in my presentation, with the traffic network, we have a technology which is used by different providers, and they are connecting together. And then we have in the German Provider Association, we have developed a roaming agreement. So different service providers can connect to each other. In the moment, we are speaking from the German Provider Association, we are speaking with ESPA, if there's maybe a possibility to go more international and not more supporting the German provider, the German roaming standard. So, but yeah, in the summary is PEPL, and that's the official way, and on the other side, the service provider are trying to connect to each other via roaming, and that is, I think, yeah, that's the way in Germany.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Thank you, Ivo, for the explanation, the answering on the question of Igor. I hope this is answering your question. I see also Paul. You raise your hand, so if you have a question.
Indeed, I did, Martin. Thanks. Maybe my question.
It's early in your side. Let's people. It's
yeah,
6 o'clock now.
I'm just warming up now. I can feel the effects of the coffee. So here we go. Starter for 5. Yeah, my understanding is that the directive on e-invoicing dates back some time now, doesn't it? I think whether it was 2014, and I understand that member states had until April 2020 to implement it. I wondered what, has it been, how effective has the implementation been across Europe, or is there still work to be done? I don't know whether you had any insights on the situation from the perspective of the European Commission.
Oh, a good question. Somebody can help the answer on this.
I can do it for the region. I cannot do it for the whole Europe. But as we hear from the European Forum and also for the other stakeholders, more or less all the countries did implement some kind of implementation of these standards. So some of just for the government institutions, some of all the public sector, some all did implement the standards, but in different ways. So we'll see. we have all the same kind of semantics, but we don't have the same standards. So we have to work, as it was mentioned by Jan, a lot of some kind of integration, transformations, and so on to have cross-country or cross-border implementation of different kind of these standards. But I think we are going the right way, and all the governments did their homework, but not everybody from the same, how to say, how good they did it. It was different. Sorry. Okay, maybe Anna or some other.
Maybe you, Jan, have to add something to it.
Yeah. What we see in a lot of the countries, of course, you have big differences in Europe. When you go to the Nordics, for example, you see that there's been a lot more electronic invoicing since quite some time. I believe they even started in the beginning of the 2000. Beginning of the years 2000. What you see in a lot of the European countries is that they're evolving. They're making some kind of calendars, some kind of agenda. I'm aware that in a lot of European countries now you have a formal obligation for everything to do with business to government. Some countries are already making plans to make it an obligation in the business-to-business environment. Some are even thinking or even implementing a B2C electronic invoicing. So you see a lot of differences between the countries. Some countries are not even considering for the time being the business-to-business obligation. So you see, and I know that some countries have delays. So some of the countries are not ready yet. The major for me, speaking from a personal experience, what I can see is that outside of Europe, there has been some activity also. The PEPL directory and the PEPL way of working has also become integrated in Singapore, for example. You see that other countries are making, as you in the UK, you have this Making Tax Digital program that's been running. So you see a lot of activity coming. The problem is that a lot of countries, for me, the problem is that a lot of countries are choosing some kind of platform that you have to use, where it's an obligation. I don't personally, I'm not a fan of the Italian way of working, where you have an obligation. I understand the reasoning, but the problem is that a single platform for all businesses of all sizes and in all sectors is viewed as a constraint to a lot of the companies. So I much more prefer the clearance model that you have, for example, and I think the best known is the Mexican model, where you have a clearance of an authorized platform that can be chosen. So you have to choose, as a user, you can choose the platform, but it has to be authorized by the government. And I think that has the most chance of really getting into the market. This offers the best possibilities. So there's a lot of differences in the European member states. I think, yeah, I know the situation in Greece, but I'll let you say that. And there's a lot of differences between the in the European zone.
Yeah, and I think so. We also have to look at the Dutch position. We had a start a long time ago where a lot of e-invoicing supplies were there, and the salespersons were the accountants. And one of the things we've learned, an accountant is not a salesperson for e-invoicing, especially at the start. So what the Belgian member did with the supplier is very good. So that's really helping the accountants, because I think if you go back, the accountants have a very important role, but they are not the sales guys. So even in every, let's say, way we see in Slovenia, in Italy, in the Netherlands, or they must be helped. We got a lot of questions, Paul, from our members, especially from SMPs. Give us some tools, but say, okay, use this tool for invoicing, and especially after choice 5, 6, 7 tools, that will be very difficult for them to understand what's behind it. So I think for us, and especially, and I speak from the Dutch perspective, And I know there's a change going on in our country, which is very good, and there's more focus. There's more, let's say, the accountant is more involved in helping them to understand the opportunities of e-invoicing to introduce to the customers. Communication was mentioned by Ivo already. Communication is very important, and I think also for us, looking at the time, also for the digital working group, we have Igor in a working group. Maybe some members already there say, hey, is there a digital working group? Yeah, there's a digital working group. One of the topics is also invoicing, how to help, what are the challenges we have to help our accounting profession better to introduce e-invoicing to their customers, to their organization. And we see that every country is different, and that we have to be very keen on that. But it's one of the topics we want to discuss within the working group to see how we as EFAA can help on this topic. And that is also, I think, very helpful. And if there are some members listening saying, hey, interesting, please give an email to Sarah to say, tell me more about the digital working group. I got some information, maybe, perhaps. Please let us know. Regarding the time, I don't know many other questions. Otherwise, I give the last words to Salvador, because we want to keep a little bit of track in time. Your microphone is off, Salvador. So I will give you the floor, or perhaps to close this very interesting event.
Okay, thank you so much, Martin. Thank you so much, Benoit, Bart, Francois, Jan, Ivo, Igor, rest the participants. I agree that today was a very interesting meeting. The invoicing and others tools for the decision is very important for our profession. It's very important for our SMEs, for our society, of course. We must do these changes, this travel step by step. Each country are different, but in general, I think that from European Federation Accounting Auditor for SMEs, we must continue in this way. Thank you so much for our experience. Thank you so much for your time, and congratulations, speaker, moderator. I will see you soon in other events, perhaps discussing about this experience, about the invoice, or perhaps discussing or comment about others activities or others tools or others point that is necessary to discuss between our profession. See you soon. As you can see, in June, 1 of June, we will have another event, another meeting about no financial reporting. I would like to invite to you to share with us in this event. Thank you so much for that, and congratulations.